Thanks, Jennifer. That was such a nice introduction. Thank you all for being here and for your attention to this incredibly important conversation. Thank you, Worlds of Flavor, for inviting me. I'm really humbled to be here. As Jennifer mentioned, I came to the topic of refugee and immigrant chefs as a reporter. But before I even wrote that piece for the New York Times, I was just a person who really likes new flavors. I live in Missoula, Montana, a city of roughly 75,000 people, in a county that is 91% white. And our culinary options reflect that homogeneity. If it is not a pizza, a steak, or a hamburger, it is hard to find. So when I discovered that there was a program in my town that allowed me to order to-go meals prepared by refugee and immigrant chefs, I couldn't get enough of it. United We Eat is the culinary program of Soft Landing Missoula, a nonprofit that supports refugee and immigrant families who have recently settled in our city. Through that program, I could eat food from the Democratic Republic of Congo, from Afghanistan, from Pakistan, from Syria. The meals are prepared by home cooks, and sales of those meals financially benefit their families. So it's also creating an important medium for conversations and sharing between Missoula's newest residents and their neighbors. I guarantee that 100% more Missoulians now love fufu than before United We Eat got started. And it's been really beautiful to see how deeply Missoula has embraced United We Eat. The meals sell out in an hour, sometimes in mere minutes. Several of the United We Eat chefs sell their food at the farmers market, and many have been hired at restaurants in town. And since I reported my story in the 2 years since then, United We Eat has continued to grow, moving out of the church basement where it began into a real commercial kitchen. I've seen the pride that those chefs have inside that space, and I've tasted how talented they are. As their neighbor and as a reporter, I couldn't wait to help them share their stories of accomplishment. The people that we will soon meet this evening also have incredible stories to tell. They are stories that our communities need to hear, today more than ever. They are stories of strength. They are stories of creativity, of dignity, and of resilience in the face of odds. They are stories that speak to what is possible through food inside all of us individually, but more importantly, the excellence we are capable of collectively. It is a great honor to introduce these panelists. First, we have Chef Ebru Baybara Demir, a chef and entrepreneur in Mardin, Turkey, who has been internationally recognized for her innovative solutions to societal challenges. Those issues include the socioeconomic impact of the Middle Eastern migrant crisis, climate change's effects on soil, and promoting local development through social gastronomy. Last year, she was awarded the 2023 Basque Culinary World Prize for her projects that include the From Soil to Plate Agricultural Development Cooperative. She has also received the Anna Berta Creative Leadership Award and the Grand Prix at the Mediterranean Tourism Forum, and just last month was declared a food hero by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. Her initiatives bridge culinary innovation, ecological restoration, and social empowerment for women and migrants, and it is a joy to have her join us today. Next, round of applause. Next, I'll invite up Alexander Harris, Executive Culinary Director of Emma's Torch in Brooklyn, New York. Emma's Torch is a nonprofit social enterprise organization that empowers refugees through culinary training and job placement. After leaving a job in the pharmaceutical industry, Alexander turned his love of cooking into a career. He attended the restaurant school at Walnut Hill College before working for top restaurants in Philadelphia and New York City. He joined Emma's Torch in 2017 as culinary director, using his 20-plus years of industry experience to help empower today's young, aspiring chefs. And now, as executive culinary director, he ensures that the training provided at Emma's Torch readies these chefs for success. And Michelle Magat. Oh, Alexander, yes. Sorry. We should be clapping more. Michelle Magat is Director of Communications and Innovation at La Cocina, an award-winning nonprofit food business incubator in San Francisco. She has a bachelor's degree in English and a master's degree in journalism, which she has applied to a multi-decade career in communications. She co-founded the communications firm Current Global, ran her own consulting business, co-founded a school communications software startup, and advised Fortune 500 companies through her work at two of the world's leading communications agencies, Weber Shandwick and Edelman. Today, she helps further La Cocina's mission to solve problems of equity in business ownership for women, immigrants, and people of color. Yeah. So thank you so much to these three panelists for being here. And now Chef Ebru, Baybara, Demir will start us off with some remarks.
Hello, everyone. First, we have a video. it was a social gastronomy, and I was a social gastronomy chef, where I discovered the cooking is not just about the taste, but also about the positive impacts it has on the people's lives. I dedicate this award to women who change their own lives by utilizing the most important skill, cooking. Thank you. Starting with this video, I want to let you experience what I am doing in Turkey. I am a social gastronomy chef. Even though my job will seem as solely cooking, what really matters to me is how many people's lives have changed through the taste of food that I prepare, no matter when and where they are. I have been managing several projects that targeted disadvantaged groups, particularly women in southeast of Turkey, based on rural development, integration of refugees, and strengthening of women by providing them with a source of income and occasional training with the collaboration of the EU and UN agencies, along with the public institutions. I come from Mardin, located in southeast of Turkey, only 33 kilometers away from Syrian border. It is one of the oldest cities in Mesopotamia. The population is 800,000. It is one of the cities with the highest proportion of Syrian refugees, 12% of total population. I was born as a third daughter of the traditional Mardin family. Although my father took us to Istanbul 48 years ago, at a time when being a woman was considered disadvantageous because of the patriarchal structure, I returned to Mardin in the late 19th as a tour guide when I was 23. Mardin was one of the cities whose economy was based on traditional agriculture and border trade 25 years ago. Even though the city's underdeveloped agriculture-based economy and security problems obscured the city's values for many years, I saw a tourism city with its different cultures, cuisine, rituals, historical texture. These hidden values have become a goal and passion for me. My goal was to do tourism in Mardin. If you want to do tourism in a city, you need not only natural texture of that city, but also the place's host guest. At the first, I was hosting tourist groups in Mardin. At a time, there was only a 3-star hotel and small restaurant. Sorry. One day, the tourist group we hosted told me they didn't want to eat at that restaurant. While I was thinking about what to do, my sister-in-law came up with an idea. We hosted a group of 28 people in her home, serving traditional delicacies prepared by the women in the neighborhood. The low table set on floor that day showed the magics of the Mardin's women. And the satisfied group left that day marked the beginning of the new era for me. I and 21 women started hosting tourists in our homes. Most of them were illiterate and working as a traditional family workers, and now they were earning money from what they knew best, cooking. In 2001, we moved our business to our new restaurant, George's Mansion. Taking 21 women with me, I started writing a new story in Mardin. The change we initiate was met with a backlash in society. In fact, that a 20 years old young woman and 21 women who followed her started to run a restaurant with alcoholic drinks was something that people could not approve and easily considering the dynamic of the conservative structure. When tourists started to arrive Mardin's first touristic business, George's Mansion revealed the region's income potential from tourism and marketed the beginning of the city's transformation. It makes no sense to tell people with low levels of education and income about your dreams. In this process, I realized that it is not words but proved achievements that can change their society. The change I initiate in Mardin with my restaurant has started to break down the stereotypes. Inspired by one woman and 21 others, people of Mardin invested in the city tourism. They started to open similar businesses and hotels step by step. Mardin, which had an annual tourist number of 11,000 and bed capacity 220 in 1999, now, today, Mardin is one of the most important tourism cities in Turkey, hosting more than 3 million tourists a year with a bed capacity of 20,000. In 2012, a new era would begin for me and for my family. Our whole life changed when we learned that my 5-year-old daughter had a brain tumor. Doctors said that such cases are becoming increasingly common, with unhealthy food consumption being one of the most important causes. From that day on, I focused the source of food, the seed, and soil. I live in Mesopotamia, where agriculture began in these arable lands 12,000 years ago. While Turkey was greenery of the world with 1,800 different types of wheat, within the last 70 years, we lost that diversity and richness. For a long time, I researched on ancestral seeds, soil, agricultural methods, models, fertilizers, and pesticides. I questioned the source of food that I bring to the table in my own home and restaurant. I found sorghum wheat, which cultivated in small quantities in nearby villages with traditional agricultural methods. Farmers who have been accustomed to getting high yields from conventional agriculture for a long time did not want to plant sorghum seeds because of the low yields. This is our biggest problem in agriculture. To get more yield, we have used our energy sources, especially water and electricity. But more importantly, we have irreversibly destroyed our soil and polluted our water with the chemicals. We need more local varieties grown in harmony with the soil. Sorghum is the oldest wheat of the Mesopotamia that grows without irrigation and resistant against the drought. My first objective was to access healthy food and live with the future generation. At that period, also witnessed the hottest time of the Syrian war, and we as a city started to living significant refugee population. Our border neighbors become our next door neighbors. Unemployment began to rise, and integration had become the most important issue affecting daily life. Syrian refugee women were the hardest hit by the region's struggling economy that was hard to repair. There was a need social assistance and integration of over thousands of people who left their home because of war. Syrian women had known very well how to produce that with traditional farming. So I combined the agricultural knowledge of Syrian women with our agricultural methods, and we started to cultivate sorghum wheat together. We learned how to clean the soil from chemicals and practiced healthy agriculture from them. With the sorghum wheat project, we not only reached the local seeds, but also provided a solution for the integration and employment of Syrian women. 360 women farmers continue to work with the cultivation of sorghum wheat on 36,000 acres by using traditional farming methods which are respectful to the soil, nature, and people as well. In this world where food and water resources are coming to end, our biggest aim to cultivate the sorghum wheat, which has not been affected by drought for future of food, and totally over than 1,000 refugees women have benefited from the whole project. sorry, when pandemic is hit to us and all the programs is changed, a significant number of the people who rely on tourism and daily jobs become unemployed. To help to these people, we need to find a solution in addition to the agriculture producers who could not bring his product and the market could not sell his product. When the logistics system did not work, those living in big cities could not reach the food. This once again showed how important it is produced and consumed locally and strengthened the local production on site. Our starting point was the 22,000 bars of soap we produced in the Aleppo Soap Project, which we launched to support the sustainability of olive trees in the region and provide employment for Syrian refugees and disadvantaged communities. We created the brand and started selling them online. When the demand continued, we turned this project into the professional investment and took it under the roof of our social cooperative Soil to Plate. This also mobilized the other small farmers in the region. And during the pandemic, we started the process and sell the products of the small farmers in the region who could not reach the national market. The cooperative is now self-sufficient and profitable ecosystem with the 65 employees delivering the products of the more than 170 traditional farmers to Turkey. In 2020, at the first time, Turkey has faced a serious drought. Of course, climate change plays a role in this. On the other hand, the soil was severely degraded by the conventional agricultural practices and used the chemical fertilizer. Our water resources are running out. Our land is becoming desert. I believe that for sustainability of agriculture and food, first we need to refound the balance that we have already lost. It is actually not that hard to do. We don't need to have a big investments and the fancy technology for it. In April 2020, we launched the compost project when combat the soil degradation and reduce the food waste. Every day we collect the food waste from markets, compost it, and distribute it to the farmers for free. Compost enrich the soil with the organic matter, increases water retention by 1/3, and reduce the need for fertilizer by up to 80%, resulting is higher yields and healthier crops. Additionally, usable foods produced repurposed into the 1,200 daily hot meals for those in need, with the rest packaged for the food banks. Supported by the 6 academics, partnership with the 54 municipalities and over 3,500 volunteers, we aim to sustainably healthy soils and secure the access to nutrition food for future generation. Then, one morning, we woke up and life was not the same as a few hours before. On February 6, 2023, devastating earthquake hit the 11 cities in Turkey and North Syria. Tens of thousands of lives were lost in the earthquake, which affected millions of people. Turkish society had united, and synergy that emerged from the gathering of the private, public, and civil society, and more importantly, individuals, volunteers, held high hopes for city. First day, we established a soup kitchen with the support of volunteers. We called the Gönül Mutfağı. It means kitchen of heart. Our social cooperative provides operational support. More than 4,000 volunteers. We work day and night. With the support of the public institution and more than 1,000 private organizations, 70,000 hot meals per day we delivered to those in need for 6 months. Our soup kitchen has been working according to changing needs and for almost 2 years. I hope I have been inspired by both the power of food and the endless passion of mine behind all the efforts, behind all my efforts. This power started to transforming the life of Mardin's women, then changed the stereotypes, social and economic realities of others by touching their life. Finally, it became a regenerative tool for climate change and drought, also hope for the future of soil and our children. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Chef Baybara Demir. And we'll ask Kate and Alexander and Michelle to come up also.
Success, you know, when we think about success for businesses, you know, we think of small businesses as drivers of economic and social growth, not just for themselves, but also for their families, their communities, and beyond. So when we think about their success, it's very multi-dimensional and multi-layered. And, you know, of course, we look at economic growth, revenue growth, jobs created, because that's an indication of economic stability for these businesses, and also, you know, are they providing added value to the local economies? But we also look at things like media coverage, you know, how they participate in panels like this, how they are winning accolades and industry awards, because that kind of visibility and credibility around their business is essential to their growth. And it also provides, kind of stokes community pride and creates a layer of resilience around those businesses. And so when we think of also the entrepreneurs, you know, one size does not fit all. So entrepreneurs have various ideas about their vision of success. And it could be, for one, it's just, you know, finally being the boss and being independent in realizing their dreams. For some others, it is providing stability for their families and doing what they love to do, which is cook and share their food. And so these kinds of personal definitions of success are just as important, because it shows to us what the community that we serve, what it matters to them. And that's critical for the support that we provide. But as we have been celebrating our 20th anniversary of having some impact in the Bay Area, I think about long-term sustainability, economic mobility, the way that entrepreneurs engage in their communities and build legacy. And one business in particular, and I hope that you visit them, they're called Estrelita's Snacks. They make the most delicious pupusas. And they started their business 20 years ago out of La Cocina's incubator kitchen with Maria del Carmen. And when she fell ill, she transitioned the business to her daughter, Estrella Gonzalez, who the business is named after. And Estrella stepped up and expanded the business. She launched into farmers markets, took the products into grocery stores, and she opened their first brick and mortar restaurant in the Tenderloin neighborhood. And now she brought her son Angel to work as well. So there's like 3 generations now of that business. And so when I think about, you know, success, I think about, you know, these businesses and what they're bringing to the Bay Area and how they are creating something really meaningful and really resilient. Gets us really excited, and it's more delicious because of it.
Alexander.
Yeah. At Emma's Torch, similarly, we are a nonprofit. We are a workforce development organization, and our mission is empowering refugees through culinary education. We do that through our cafes, our restaurants, our catering in Brooklyn and Washington, D.C. We're a fairly young organization, and so, you know, when we first started, what we were looking at were things like our graduation rate and our job placement rate. But over time, we were able to gather more data on our students and what they were doing and how they were affecting themselves and the industry. So we began looking at things like our ROI for return on investment for our students in the organization, their cumulative wages gained, their job retention in the industry, which is another big one. But then there's some other things, the stories of our students that go kind of beyond the numbers, or the story behind where the numbers are coming from. And you look at things like, are our graduates able to advocate for themselves? What is the story behind these gained wages? Are they able to have that conversation with their chef or with their manager about the work that they're doing and, having a good discussion about why they are deserved for that promotion or that raise. Things that deal with them as people as well. Being able to sign up for benefits or opening up your first retirement account and things like that. Things that are helping them both inside and outside of the workplace.
Thank you for that.
Söylediğim gibi ben Mardin'de küçük bir şehirde yaşıyorum. En büyük avantajım Arapça biliyor olmam. Arapça bildiğim için de kadınlar daha kolay gelebiliyorlar. Son 25 yıldır kadınlarla yaşıyorum, kadınlarla çalışıyorum. Onların bildiği en iyi işi onlara gelir getiren bir faaliyet olarak verdiğim için öncelikle kendilerine güveniyorlar, sonra bana güveniyorlar. İstersen bunu çevir, sonra devam edelim.
I'm sorry. What she said was that she is from Mardin, which is a small town, and then she has been working with ladies for over a decade, and she also speaks Arabic, which helps her a lot to communicate with the ladies who are needy of her assistance. But she mentioned that the most importantly, the ladies need activities that will generate income. So first they trust themselves, then they place their trust in her.
Aynı zamanda daha önce onların geldiği yerde kadınlar çalışmıyorlarmış ve daha gerçekten de zor şartlarda kadının dezavantajlı olduğu bir bölgeden geliyorlar. Orada kadının adı yok. Ama burada kendi bildikleriyle para kazanıp bütün aileyi geçindirmek onlara bir cesaret veriyor. Buradaki en önemli konu bence cesaret ve birbirlerine haber vererek bu geçtikçe artıyor. Sadece kendilerini iyileştirmiyorlar, çocuklarını da iyileştirmeye, çünkü rol model görüyorlar ve çocuklarını da iyileştirmeye, okula göndermeye devam ediyorlar. Kendileri için bir şey yapmaya çalışıyorlar. Dolayısıyla ben bunun sonuçlarını görüyorum. 1000'den fazla kadın çalışıyor, kimisi toprakta çalışıyor, kimi sabun yapıyor, kimi yemek yapıyor. Ama hepsi sorumluluğu erkeklerden çok kadınlar aldığı için önce kadınlar kendileri için yapıyor, sonra çocukları için yapıyor. Ben hep şuna inandım. Bir kadın değişirse aile değişiyor, aile değişince toplum değişiyor. Biz o değişimi yaşıyoruz şu anda.
What she said is that the ladies, the women, especially Syrian refugees who came to Turkey, and in this case Mardin, before their migration to Turkey, unfortunately, they didn't have much. They didn't have much rights. They didn't have names. They didn't have faces. They were basically invisible member of the society. Because of her initiative, now they are taking greater responsibility in their families. They are raising their children. They are generating income. And that makes the major changes. And she says that once you change the woman's life, that changes the family, that changes the society. And then she emphasized that they are going through this change as of right now.
And Kate, I just want to jump in and say, if any of you have questions, you can put them on Slido.
Yes, thank you. Each of these programs is structured very differently, but shares some common goals. What's an operational aspect of your program that you feel has contributed to its success? How is the structure important to these successful outcomes?
I would say at La Cocina, setting entrepreneurs up for success means believing in them as individuals and giving them the time and the space to do what they do best. And what we find is when we give somebody access and opportunity to try, oftentimes we find that the skill is there, but the path to trying was never provided. And so at La Cocina, our job is to provide that pathway to try, and to give them the time to experience like how to build a business. And so I think that, operationally, what kind of defines us different from other kind of like accelerator programs is that we have a really hands-on, long-term approach. And when I say long-term, I mean that these businesses are in our incubator for 5 to 6 years. And that might seem like a long time to be in an incubator, especially when you're living in the Bay Area and accelerators and startups, live in accelerators for 3 to 6 months, and it's kind of like, you got this, go and be fruitful. But the community that we're working with is low-income food entrepreneurs that are women, BIPOC folks, and immigrants. They start their businesses with $5,000 in capital or less. And the barriers to entry in the formal food industry are significantly higher for them. And so when I think about like our approach, it's very hands-on in the sense that we provide up to 100 hours a year for each business in technical assistance. And that ranges from everything from product development, recipe scaling, accounting and finance, brand marketing, and communications and sales. And that is coupled alongside real world applications. And so, for example, at La Cocina, we have a catering program, and we also have a holiday gift box program. Holidays are coming up, so consider us for your holiday need. And those are opportunities that La Cocina brokers, and it gives entrepreneurs a really hands-on way of learning how to do catering, how to create a product in a holiday gift box that can be absolutely delicious, shipped across the world, and be opened, and it's as if you just created it. And so there's a lot of learning in that. We also have a program with each cohort of businesses that come through our program where they work together to create a dinner for 100 people. And so they learn to work collaboratively. They learn to develop menus and recipe taste and cost out ingredients and promote their business and talk to customers. And it's really this kind of hands-on learning that really gets them to kind of sustainably build their business. And I think the community that we create, because it's 5 to 6 years that these businesses are in this program, they create lots of bonds with the entrepreneurs that they are in cohort with. And because of that, they are developing really great relationships and even partnering sometimes with pop-ups and products and things like that. And those entrepreneurs end up coming back to our program, mentoring the next wave of entrepreneurs, and even sitting on our board. So I think it's a testament to kind of how we're building a relationship alongside this learning experience.
I'll start off with another similarly. Emma's Torch also has year-end holiday gift boxes.
For the East
Keeping
Coast
it light, we're
folks.
talking about some heavy subjects here. But seriously. One thing that we talk about at Emma's Torch a lot is that the program is the operation, and the operation is the program. And so when we think about what we do, starting on the program side, it's really about starting with the foundation of our space, and that Emma's Torch is going to be our safe space for our students to be able to be themselves, to make mistakes, to learn and grow. And then from there, thinking through trauma-informed care. Our students are survivors of forced migration. And so using those principles to work with and teach our students, provide structure, which will lead to developing trust of our students in us and our process. Motivational interviewing is another one that we try to use for many different purposes inside of the program. A lot less yeses, nos, goods, bads as answers to questions, and a lot more, well, how did you arrive at that? Why did that make you feel this way? One of our favorite questions to ask our students is, tell me more a little bit about, what brought you to this decision or that. And then as we move into the operation, repetition is really, really big. So first we want to talk with our students and have them understand the why behind the what to what they're doing. And then they're gonna repeat that what over and over and over. A small, our program is fairly short, so it's intense. So there's only a few basics that we're going to repeat over and over. But once we repeat, we start to develop comfort. Once we develop comfort, we are confident. And once we're confident, then we can go out after the program and we can really do anything.
Türkiye'de 8 milyon mülteci yaşıyor şu anda 2011 yılından beri. Ülkede aslında mültecilerle ilgili devletin herhangi bir politikası hala yok ve bu insanlar geçici koruma statüsündeler. Türkiye'de isimleri yok ama geri de dönemiyorlar, bir yere de gidemiyorlar. 2011 yılından beri geçici koruma statüsündeler ve devletin bununla ilgili bir programı da yok. Bu insanlarla ilgili ne yapacaklarını da bilmiyorlar. Ama Türkiye'de bu insanların yaptıkları tek bir şey var, ucuz işçilik. Ve en çok bundan kadınlar ve çocuklar zarar görüyor tabii ki. Bir şehirde bir işi başardığınız zaman, küçük bir şehirde, özellikle Türkiye'nin güneydoğusunda bir şey başardığınızda insanlar sizin mucize yaratabileceğinizi düşünüyorlar. Ben o mucizeleri yaratan kişi olarak biliniyorum herhalde. Ben bundan da çok mutluyum. Dolayısıyla devletin böyle bir politikası olmadığı için de sürekli projeleri kendiniz yaratmak zorundasınız. İstihdam etmek zorundasınız, eğitmek zorundasınız. Çünkü günün sonunda benim sokakta oyun oynayan çocuğumun arkadaşı Suriyeli mülteci. Onlar için bir şeyler yapmazsam eğer yarın öbür gün o çocukların ne olabileceğini kimse tahmin edemiyor. Dolayısıyla benim yaptığım iş tamamen onların bildiği en iyi işte Türkiye ile ortak paydayı yaşatmak, bir entegrasyon. Bir zeytin projemiz var. Mardin'de, bence dünyanın en eski zeytin ağaçları Mardin'de. Ve bizim beslenme kültürümüzde zeytinyağı kullanmak mümkün kullanmadığımız için ağaçları kesiyorlar. Ama bunu Suriyeli kadınlar muhteşem sabun yapıyorlar. Onların en iyi bildikleri işte zeytinyağlı sabun yapmak. Bizim zeytinyağımız, onların sabun kültürü ve ikisi bir araya gelince sabunla ilgili bir fabrika kurduk. Şu anda sabun üretiyoruz. Dolayısıyla biz bu projeleri kendimiz üretmek zorundayız. Onların bildikleriyle bizim ortak olan kültürü birleştirerek yeni projeler yapmak ve ondan sonra onları insanlara adapte etmek zorundayız. Bizim yaptığımız iş bu. Yani tamamen el yordamıyla, devletin desteği olmadan kendi başımıza bir şeyler yapmaya çalışıyoruz.
I think we all caught it.
Well, you want a translation, so you need to be patient.
Yes. I'm so
Well.
sorry.
Okay, so I'll do my best. Basically, what she said was that as of right now in Turkey, we have 8 million refugees. And then unfortunately, the government has no policy, has no plan what to do with them or when. And their current status is temporary, but nobody knows what that means. They cannot go back where they come from. So, because of that, she says that she, like herself and many others, had to be creative, come up with projects that those refugee ladies, women, can produce, can do something about it. And when they do not do anything, they become a victim of cheap labor. And that affects the family structure, that affects the children, and eventually that will affect the society. So she says by coming up with those projects, she is considered a magician, and she's okay with it. At the end of the day, she said that when her kids are playing on the street, their playmates are refugee children. So those children need to be given a direction. They need to have a productive families. So basically, if there's no productive family, then there is no tomorrow for the society. So what she does is that she finds what those women know the best and creates the project and utilizes their knowledge, their skill sets. And she also said that she believes Turkey, and specifically Mardin, has the oldest olive trees in the world. Apparently, Syrian woman really knows how to make soap out of those trees, those olive oils. So this is one of the projects. And then she is kind of the person that utilizes the knowledge and again skill set of this woman and creates something out of it where the woman is empowered, became more brave and productive. Therefore, the families also are doing much better.
So, Kate, I have a question through Slido, and it's for Alexander, and we're having a little crinkle sound on your microphone, so if you could use Michelle's, that would be great. So, Alexander, what's the meaning of the name Emma's Torch, and how many students have passed through your program?
Oh, beautiful question. All right, so Emma's Torch was named after Emma Lazarus. Emma Lazarus, if you don't know, was a poet and an activist. She had a program that worked with, well, she was an activist for refugee rights, so she had many programs that had to do with empowering refugees and some food programs as well. She is a poet, was a poet as well. She wrote a poem called The New Colossus, which I believe many of us in the room do know if they don't know it by the name of the poem. It's the poem that has the line, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." This is the poem that's written around the Statue of Liberty at the base. So that's the Emma and Emma's torch, and the torch is the torch on the Statue of Liberty. So it's in honor of the work that Emma Lazarus did and the torch, that beacon for new arrivals into the United States. And that's what, our organization hopes to be for workforce development.
And how many people?
Oh, yeah. This last graduation, so just the end of October, we are over 500 graduates in our lifetime.
And then we also have another question from the audience asking how your everyday chef supports these programs. And we mentioned buying holiday goods. Will we receive info on how to access buy support products initiatives? And that definitely, we will send materials out. And so I believe that when you go into your app, you can connect to some of their social media. But definitely look up their websites, and we will share this information after the conference. But besides that, besides buying the holiday gifts, I wonder how can, because this is the audience for Worlds of Flavor are food service operators, everyone from K through 12 schools, but a lot of up to high volume food service providers. So they have a lot of skills, they have a lot of passion, and they really care about things. And I know our friends at the James Beard Foundation always talk about how much chefs contribute, volunteer work, money, raising money. So I'm wondering how chefs can help, maybe in an elevated fashion beyond just buying gifts.
Yeah, I love that question, and thank you so much for asking that. We work with so many chefs as volunteers for the organization, and we're always looking for industry experts. And so this can look like working side by side with one particular business or an entrepreneur over the course of 2 to 3 months. This could look like providing internships for our entrepreneurs in your restaurants. This could look like teaching a learning circle for our cohorts on any kind of like skill building experience that you want to provide. We would not be able to do what we do without volunteers. We also always need chefs to come and support us during our cohort pop-up dinners. Oftentimes we have like special dinners and events that we do, and we'd love to have like chefs participate in our gala and then participate alongside our chefs to really like support them in creating these like beautiful evenings for folks. So, yeah.
Yeah, similarly. It's going to be my word for the week. Education and development is an iterative process, and our organization is very much, right from the beginning, we tell our students, it's about community and the people that you know to help you along the way, and it's very much the same for us. And so if you are interested in helping and supporting, please send me an email, very easy to remember, alex@emmastorch.org, or you can email info@emmastorch.org, because we're always looking to make our program better, whether it be the techniques that we're doing inside of the restaurant, whether it's the way that we're running our operation, whether it's the items that we're putting on CPG, consumer packaged goods. There's always somebody who can add to our knowledge and our process. We're always ready and willing to have that conversation so that we can provide more and better opportunities for our students. We are from all across the nation and the world right now in this room. And while we are based in Washington, D.C., Brooklyn, and Manhattan, many times our students are not. And so the more people that we know in other areas across the country as well, the better opportunity we can provide for our students once they, if and when they do leave the state of New York or Washington, D.C. And last, don't discount the value of the dollar. Yes, buying our products does really help support, our students. So we do appreciate that kind of investment in who we are as well.
Yes, I can. Herkesin yapabileceği bir iş olduğunu düşünüyorum ben. Herkesin bir şeye ihtiyacı var. Mutlaka sizin de iyi olduğunuz bir şey vardır bize destek olabileceğiniz. Türkiye'ye bekliyoruz. Siz bize geldikten sonra biz sizin konaklamanızı ve yemeğinizi veririz. Siz de istediğiniz projede çalışırsınız. Çünkü her insan bir vizyon ve o insanda çok şey değil, bir vizyon, bir kişinin vizyonuyla çok şey değiştirebileceğimizi düşünüyoruz. Bizim sadece ihtiyacımız olan, spesifik bir şeye ihtiyacımız yok, sadece insana ihtiyacımız var. Ne zaman isterseniz, deprem bölgesinde de olur, Mardin'de de olur, ister tarımda, ister mutfakta, ister herhangi bir yerde mutlaka bize yardımcı olabileceğiniz bir konu vardır.
What she said was that she believes that everyone is capable of doing something. You are all welcome to Turkey. She's promising to cover your accommodation and food. And then she believes that everyone has something to offer to someone else. And her projects are always in need of human power. You could work on the farms, you could work at the kitchen. That can be in Mardin or the neighboring farms. But, don't miss it, it's free room and board.
And also, you can work in an earthquake zone also. We have a very big soup kitchen there. We need volunteers. We are starting to still
We are working. We are still working in this earthquake zone. You can do something maybe. Whenever you want, you can come and you can join us.
So thank you, Kate, Chef Ebru, Nalan for the interpretation, Michelle and Alex. Let's give them another round of applause. So this is the conclusion of our content part of the first day of Worlds of Flavor. We are now headed to the World Marketplace, sponsored by Foods and Wines from Spain, Kikkoman Sales USA, and Unilever Food Solutions, and featuring Wolf chef guest tastings such as East Belfridge's crab pomona and banana leaves. Ian Ramirez has a crispy rice with king crab and uni foam, and Shinton Pandya papdi chaat. Keanu Moju, who demoed tonight, and Gabe Oralis, who will have a session tomorrow afternoon, will be signing books. The outdoor live fire marketplace and the amphitheater on the first floor will also feature entertainment from Locura Trio, a blend of Latin American and Iberian rhythms. All of today's programming concludes by 7:30 p.m. And then tomorrow we will start bright and early with an 8:15 a.m. breakfast on the first floor featuring select recipes from chef and cookbook author East Belfridge, prepared by our very talented CIA culinary team. We'll then start the day here in Ecolab with an informative conversation moderated by menu analyst Nancy Cruz on how global flavors translate from buzzworthy restaurants to mainstream menus, with a panel of innovative operators finding success here in the U.S. and beyond. So let's go eat.
Hi, I'm Chef Phil from Pied de Terre Restaurant in Fitzrovia, London. Today we're preparing a white asparagus bavois with pickled green strawberries, Piedemonte hazelnuts, and lovely nasturtium leaf. The idea is using all of our trimmings and being resourceful and making sure we're zero waste as a restaurant and celebrating all this fabulous produce we're lucky enough to have. In the restaurant we were using just the tips of the asparagus, and the rest of the beautiful asparagus was just surplus going to Star Food, and I really want to celebrate this incredible ingredient. So it's a completely vegan dish, but we make basically like a kind of panna cotta with the white asparagus at a base, using vegan cream, some oat milk. And then with the dish, we have pickled green strawberries, which make a nice glaze over it. So we've cut the bavois. What I'm gonna do now is we just shave some beautiful Piedemonte hazelnuts over the top of it to give a nice nuttiness and nice like toasted hazelnuts kind of give a brown butter feel to like vegan food kind of things, which beurre noisette's one of my favorite flavors. So, you know, even without the butter, you can still have that. So this is the disc, the asparagus bavois with a green strawberry glaze. So now I'm just gonna add a Maya lemon gel, just to give a little bit of acidity. And that's gonna help us build everything up in a beautiful way. Half toasted hazelnuts go on top of our little gel. Our lovely roasted white asparagus that's just been gently blanched to get a bit of softness, and then roasted on the barbecue for a lovely caramelized flavor. We're gonna build up to kind of give the height as well. Beautiful pickled green strawberries, which used to be discarded, and because they're not sweet and they're more of a savory product. And we found pickling them to give an amazing acidity, which I believe acidity to be a seasoning of food, just like salt and pepper. And it's got a really firm texture, and it's just Also something a bit different and a bit interesting. Finally, we finished that with some beautiful nasturtiums that are grown less than 100 yards from the building. We have an amazing man and we're working with him to grow different things. We grow sorrels, we grow all of our herbs because I just kind of got used to it before. And in the end, we end up with a beautiful asparagus Bavarois.
Castilla y León is an incredible land. The truth is that we would have loved to stay longer. But as the song says, the show must go on. So, off to our next destination, Castilla-La Mancha. Land of legends, knights, windmills, Don Quixote de la Mancha, and the award-winning filmmaker, Pedro Almodóvar. And of course, the land that gives its name to one of the most iconic sheep milk cheeses in Europe, the PDO Manchego cheese. Want to know how it's produced? Us too. And thanks to Samuel's kindness, we were able to discover it. Samuel gave us a personal visit to one of the most modern and innovative factories in Southern Europe. We toured the different warehouses with him, and we were able to see all the phases of the making of Manchego cheese. We learned that for a cheese to be called Manchego, it must be made with milk from Manchego sheep. In addition, all of them include an embedded casein plate on the back that guarantees traceability.
So pay attention to this label. It always has to say Manchego cheese.
And also to this one. That's the European logo that recognizes quality products. We also learned that the minimum maturation time for Manchego cheese is 30 days. And we were even able to see the structure that give it that characteristic relief and texture. Do you know what that's called? Pincho.
Besides the Manchego cheese, in Europe they have other delicious sheep milk cheeses, like the Castellanos.
The Idiazabal.
Or the Zamorano.
So as they say here, you will never go to bed without learning one more thing. But before going to sleep and ending our third day of our road trip, we were able to taste the incredible Manchego cheeses in an amazing setting. Ready to play? Discover the European cheese stories at cheesestories.eu. Funded by the European Union,